Good afternoon, Miss. So, let us start. So, our first question was, can you tell us what is your name and what program are you studying?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am Mary Rose Via Vidalida, study BSAD Filipino evening program.
So, the next one was, where do you live?
I live at Talamban, Cadauan, Cebu City.
So, the third was, what language you usually use in school at home?
Usually at school.
What language do you use usually in school or in home or at home?
I usually use vernacular, which is Bisaya and Filipino.
Do you think the Filipino language is given enough importance in school today?
Based on my experience, I have heard that the school establishes the Filipino, but last year they plan to move out the Filipino major. Is it because it is not on demand, or the competencies of the major is on the low level? So for me, I want to establish, or I like to raise our voices that Filipino major should be like, instead of vanishing it, it should be required to elaborate, to raise the Filipino more, to improve the competency, and especially the language, the speaking, and the writing skills. Thank you.
What challenges do students face when using Filipino in academic writing or speaking?
Okay, speaking of challenges is, for example, this. So we are forced, or like we are required to speak in English even though our major is Filipino. But in speaking English is required. This is because we have to communicate in different people, like foreigners or our students with struggles. For example, in the near future, we have students who are very expert in speaking English, so we have to adjust for them to understand, or for us to understand them. And also, the other challenges is speaking in Filipino fluently is very hard. It's because there were words that you have to analyze or think carefully, because they might be different meanings, or different meanings. Aside of different meanings, there were different understanding of different kind of people. So you must adjust, you must think carefully in terms of speaking the languages. Is it because not everyone can understand the language, nor the meaning of that specific word or term.
Thank you.
Do you think students today value the Filipino language as much as before? Please explain your answer.
I think the students nor the children today is not valuing Filipino that much. Is it because I have heard, or based on my interview last time, is, and when we ask about Filipino subject, they will say it is very hard. It is not understandable. No, so that's why Filipino for them is like they disregard the Filipino language. They find it very hard. They find it like complicated as much as English, but they must find English more understandable than Filipino. That's why I see, or I based on my experience, or based on my observation, they find Filipino complicated. They find it hard. They find it not important. They don't value Filipino as much as before, like our old curriculum, or our old Filipino people. They use Filipino language every day. They use Filipino language in formal occasion. They use Filipino language in every conversation. Not unlike today, they only use English or Bisaya more, diba? So, ano siya? That's
important to maintain the use of Filipino language in every life?
Okay, thank you for that question. Is first of all, as I studied BS on Filipino, so I have learned in my life work of Rizal that using or maintaining the Filipino language, maintaining it also maintaining our identity as Filipinos. It also help us to fought for everything that our country presented ever since before, and it represents ourselves as Filipinos. Is it because it elaborates how us Filipino are very friendly. Also, how us Filipino is very kind in many ways. Then it is used to communicate others using our native language, and it also raises us our confidence, raising awareness through that language using Filipino. Then aside from that, using Filipino language is not just maintaining our identity as Filipinos, but also helping us to shape ourselves as Filipinos, of course. But being a Filipino is not just maintaining or just sharing what our voices or what our needs is, but it also helps us to dig up, also helps others to shape themselves. Aside from it is that helping others is not just helping others is like being for formality, and like building ourselves is through Filipino language is making ourselves more valuable and like
Okay, so last question, Miss, was what message would you like to share with other students about the importance of learning and using Filipino?
Okay, thank you for that question, Miss. So overall, I want to message to all the students or the kids in the Philippines or here in Cebu that using our native language or Filipino language is not embarrassing. Is it because it is raising, it is giving us confidence to use. It is also serving as our identity as Filipinos. Aside from it is that it is also helping rebuilding our country, voting for our good and for our dignity as Filipinos. Aside from that, using Filipino language is making you understand the history, the importance of Filipino, and why is it so built as that. And learning those languages in Filipino is helping us to communicate with other people here in our country. We're just not entertaining other people or like foreigner people, but also we're also entertaining, communicating our very own kababayans. So that's why we have to we have to learn or educate ourselves to use the Filipino language and not using other language in everyday life, but also train ourselves to use it in everyday communication for us to understand, help analyze, and critically thinking that in every ways it helps us to reshape our minds and also create inclusive environment within the environment and our city and our country. It builds a lot of confidence. It raises ourselves, and it also giving the other country an inspiration that Filipino or using the language that we have is very valuable and very having a nice feeling. So that's all.
All right. So, hi, good evening. This is Jovenel from BSPL-2-1. So, I am here and asking a question about the relevance of using a Filipino language in education. So, first of all, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Hi, good evening. My name is Marijo F. Alice from Bisville 4-1.
All right. So hi, nice to meet you again. So here's the question: do you think Filipino is still relevant in education and daily communication? Why or why not?
For me, yes, because Filipino is still relevant because it can help people communicate easily and understand lesson. And it also reflects the culture and the identity of the Filipinos.
Okay, thank you so
That's
much.
all.
Thank you so much for that. So here's the last question for me: is should Filipino be prioritized over in English in education? Why or why not?
Yes, Filipino should be prioritized because student can understand the lesson more. A student can understand more clearly on their own language.
Alright, thank you so much for that, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and bye bye for now.